Jeremy, I love the idea. I love the motivation right there. Here's kind of how you want to go about this, okay? It is simple, but you want it to be challenging. You don't want it to be too easy, okay? And I think you know that already, but when you're trying this workout, okay? Here's what you need to really kind of set your mind to and gear your mind towards is a lifestyle change, okay? The whole point of me doing this workout the way I do it, the whole reason I started doing it this way, I actually stumbled across it because initially, a little backstory. I played ball my whole life, okay, and then I retired when I was 28 years old, okay, and so my motivation was always geared towards baseball. All right, I have to show up to spring training in shape if I want the job. You know what I'm saying? And I got to perform to a certain level, and there's a certain strength and athleticism you got to bring to the table to get that job done on a level that they see fit. You know what I'm saying? If they don't like it, they get rid of you. Okay. But this workout right here is what I used to do. I would do it pregame all the time, but I would piece it out. Okay, I would do the curls here, then I would set them down, then I'd do shoulders, set them down, back to curls, do some calf raises, forearms, and I would piece this thing out and hammer curls, all these little things that I do in the workout, minus like the floor ups. I didn't really do the floor ups back then. And the squats, I would use a squat rack because I was in the gym. It was available to me at the time. Now I live 30 minutes away from the gym, okay? And I don't like driving an hour just to go work out when I can do something at home. But here's how I kind of rolled into this workout and to some degree stumbled across it, okay? I got out of shape 4 years. Okay, I didn't do anything. So once I retired, the motivation of okay, I need to be strong for next season. I didn't have that anymore. That drive just it wasn't there. There was no need for it in my mind. So I didn't get lazy, but as you can imagine, you're 28 years old. You retire. I just got married. I've got to go get a real job. All right. And I've got to get a house and all this stuff that I didn't have. Okay. So now I'm going to go work 16 hours a day. All right. Well, there was no time to work out and certainly no drive to work out. Okay. But once I got into about 4 years of that, just putting in long hours at work, coming home, not doing anything, drinking what I want to drink, eat what I want to eat, and just kind of not living it up, just not really having any balance to my diet. You with me? Um, and I got out of shape in 4 years. I got bad out of shape in 4 years. Okay, I just didn't feel good. I had a scare one night. I was laying in bed and my heart started doing some funky stuff. It felt like it was doing the wave in my chest, and I was like, no, 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 no. We ain't having that. I'm 31 years old. We ain't having that. And so the next day, I was like, I'm getting in shape. I'm not gonna, no, I'm not gonna be laying in bed at night and feeling my heart do funky stuff. Absolutely not. I'm getting back in shape now. So the next day, I just went back in my mind. I was like, okay, when I was 13 and my dad made me get in shape because that's the worst shape I can remember ever being in prior to this was in seventh grade. I remember I was a little bit chubby, and my dad that summer said, this summer, y'all gonna get in shape, boys. And he made us run a mile every day. Okay. And at 13 years old, I remember doing that and it being tough, but I remember doing it and not really being all that sore. It was just hard getting motivated to do. But once I did it, I was like, okay, I feel fine. And I got in really good shape that summer at 13 years old. But now here I am at 31 and trying to apply the same thing. And I got really sore really quick. You with me? In fact, I wasn't done jogging the first lap around my small hitting facility, and I pulled my left calf muscle. And I was like, dude, I'm not even one lap around this building yet. and I pulled a calf muscle. That's the last thing I was expecting to happen. I was expecting my legs to be sore the next day because I hadn't ran in a long time. No, pulled my calf muscle. Then the next day, I'm like, I'm not going to let that stop me. And I go out there. I wasn't around my first lap again, and I pulled my right calf muscle. And then I was like, this ain't going to work. I am not ready for a mile, because a mile would have been probably about 16 laps around that building. It's a small building. So I am. I can't even get 2 laps around this building. Okay. And so what I did was I was like, okay, that's obviously going to be too much. So I need to start somewhere and then kind of work my way up. So what I did was I lowered my goal to rock bottom. And instead of setting a goal to run a mile, I was like I said, this is a small building. So I went, I'm just going to run 2 laps around this building. I'm going to walk or run or jog. I'm going to do 2 laps. And then before I go home every night from now on. So what I did was that night, I couldn't jog because both of my calf muscles were pulled. I just walked 2 laps around my building, kind of speed walked, ran on my heels because I couldn't get on my toes. My calves were hurting too bad. And then I went in my hitting facility, and I had these 2 30-pound dumbbells, same ones I use in my videos. And I'd do 10 curls and go home. Okay. And that was a grind at first. That was hard to do at first. Okay. And then I would, the next night, 2 laps, curls, 2 laps, curls, 2 laps, curls, 2 laps, curls for a while. Okay. And next thing you know, here I am probably 3 months into it. And those 2 laps weren't enough. Okay. So here I am 3 months in there. Now I'm starting to run 2 laps to get warmed up. And then I would do some intermittent running where I would sprint the straightaways, walk the curve, sprint the straightaway, walk the curve. And I started being able to run a little quicker, getting some of my speed back, running without having to worry about pulling muscles. Okay. Worrying about not having to worry about blisters or anything like that. And then I started adding some over the head press, a few squats, and just piecing it together little by little. Okay. And then from there, I started just wanting to challenge myself a little more because 2 laps got too easy. And then running and walking although that was a really good workout, I still wanted to put a little strength on. But 10 curls alone were too easy. Okay. So, then I started doing, okay, let me do the hammers, then the curls. Let me see if I can do some overhead press with it. And I was like, okay, that got a little bit easy. And I was like, that's only like 1 minute. I can do more than that. I can easily get 2 minutes in. Okay. Well, then I started adding the squats all at once, and here and there, it just kind of built. All right. With the idea that I'm going to go back to the gym. Once I get strong enough, I'm going to go back to the gym and start bench pressing again and start doing this, which I really hadn't done all that much in my life, but some. But without baseball being here, I figure I can bench press and get tight. It doesn't really matter. But the end result was this workout got me strong enough and got me where I wanted to be. I didn't feel like I wanted to be any stronger. Okay, so these 30-pound dumbbells and doing a little intermittent running was sufficient for me. All right, did I go to the gym for a little bit? I went to the gym maybe a month or 2 and, got strong, but then I started getting stiff, and I was like, I don't want to be stiff. So I stopped going to the gym, and I kept doing this workout because it's functional. Long story short, 3 months to 6 months, I was back in playing shape. So like one off season, I went from like bad out of shape to back in shape, real good shape. Okay. Intermittent running, Fab 5 workout. Okay. And this isn't something I read off the internet. This is something I built myself. I experienced myself from ground zero to where I am now. And it'll do the same for you. Build a habit and then grow from there. Okay. Love you guys. Keep mashing.